All right, welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Dollar Bin Digging Finds. This is the Dollar Bin video and article where I show off the books that I've actually been picking up out of those cheap bins this past week. Now, my stack isn't too much. It's probably about close to the same. Par for the course for me with things that I've grabbed this week. So I've got some first appearances, some '80s cartoons goodness, because I'm still looking for those books. I'm still on that train, looking for those classic '80s cartoons and some issue number ones, and then just some randomness. So just hang in there for a second. I'm going to have some books for you. So while I have you here, please like, subscribe, hit the alert button to make sure you're not missing any of the content that hits the channel. I recently announced, or I'm going to announce, another giveaway because I hit 500 subscribers on my YouTube channel on my road to 1,000. So please help me out. Enter, subscribe if you aren't already, and yeah, just hang on for a second, and I've got a few books to share with you. All right, here we go. As I said, these are the books that I'm actually picking up at the shop. So I'm going to show you what I physically grabbed while I was out at the stores mostly for $1. For this stack, I believe everything was basically $1. I don't think I hit any $2 bins this week with this pile, but sometimes that's the case. I mean, with the inflation these days, all the dollar bins are subject to change. I mean, some might be $1, some might be $2. I don't let you know if I'm paying more than $1 for these things, or less in some cases. But pretty much, I believe this was all dollar stuff this week. So, our first category is once again those classic cartoons. I love them. I can't get enough of them. I'm trying to complete some runs. There's stuff that I'm looking for just to finish things out. So I'm going to start off with, Mask. I think this is Mobile Armored Strike Force Command, but with a K. I got an issue 2 here for you. I think this is issue 2 from the second ongoing series in '87. Not that 4-issue mini that started. I believe they started with 4, and then they ran another 9 issues after that. I think this is basically the volume 2, issue 2, which I need to throw in that pile. This is a great toy line. Also a good cartoon. I love this stuff. You got vehicles that turn into other vehicles, and you got little dudes with pretty cool helmets. Cool property. I'm definitely on board for that. And I also lucked into finding an issue number 8, which actually does pretty well in the aftermarket. I don't know if it's just T-Bob there and these girls in bikinis or what, but this issue does pretty well on the aftermarket. So keep an eye out for issue 8 in particular with this run. If there's 2 books you want to find from Mask, you want to find issue 1 and you want to find this issue 8. That's my recommendations at least. Last week, I showed off that I got Centurions number 1, which, again, that's a great toy line. It's pretty cool. You got, I think somebody pointed out that I think was it Kirby inspired, I think. But it's a 4-issue series. I found issue 1 last week. This week, at a different place, out at the flea market, I found issue 2 and issue 3. So now I am only on the hunt for issue 4 for $1, and then I've got my Centurions set, all done. Fingers crossed. I'm sure I'll find it somewhere along the line. Another toy line that is a personal favorite of mine. I covered this way back when we were still doing Toy Informer. I did the entire wave. I just love these toys. There's something about the knights and the holograms. Visionaries. Visionaries was a toy line that was completely made for me. So I found issue 2 of the series, which I think only lasted about 6 issues. I found issue 3, again, flea market for $1, and issue 4. Issues 5 and 6 are the 2 that do the best. I think it's because of the lower print run. They're a little bit harder to find. Number 6 in particular, the last issue of the series, which is the case for a lot of these types of comics. That's the one you really want to find. And again, issue 1 as well, but issue 1 usually has a higher print run than the last issue. But still, happy to find those middle issues just to kind of fill out that run, because I believe I do have 5s and 6s, and I think I got a 1 lying around. So I'm pretty sure I have at least 1 complete set, if not multiples at this point. Another weird toy line that was kind of near the end of my toy collecting is Cops. So here's issue 1 of Cops. Just something weird. They were this kind of like a little bit of a robotic superpower. Some of them were kind of kitschy, whether you got this little sheriff dude is almost like a cowboy. I don't know. Weird toys. but they had very cool accessories, and the weapons were pretty awesome. I will say for that, like one of the bad guys, I think he had like that old school like 1920s get up with the with the fedora type hat, and he had the Tommy gun in the violin case. That was really pretty cool. So great toy line. Issue 1. I think this one might have lasted like 14 issues or 12 issues, somewhere in that range. But yeah, something to keep an eye out for if you're interested in that kind of thing. And then the last two that I grabbed from the classic cartoons is I found 2 copies of issue 128 of G.I. Joe, and they're both newsstands, which, yeah, not too bad. Pretty good shape on both. That series lasted, I think, 152 issues. So pretty much like anything after 100 gets a little bit tough to find. You got a lot of Snake Eyes issues, which people like to hunt in that realm. You've got some like Ninja stuff, Ninja Force stuff, and some of the Transformers crossovers, which also do pretty well. But pretty much anything in that 100 plus range is really worth a grab for $1. Anything before 100, apart from like those Snake Eyes issues in the 90s, there's a lot of stuff that's just, there's a lot of copies, so they don't actually do that well if you find them in boxes. So it's, you can kind of leave them there if they're kind of banged up, because there's not much to go on. I mean, sure, there's tons of first appearances in the G.I. Joe run, but I kind of tend to focus myself into looking for those key issues that I know, with like First Dukes, First Lady Jays, and First Snake Eyes and Storm. All that stuff is obvious you're going to look for. But then after that, you're kind of looking for as close to that 152, 155. I can't remember where it ends. It's in that range, as late in the run as you can possibly get. Those are the best bets of what you can find. And those are my my classic cartoon picks, which is going to move us on to our first appearances. Now, I only got a couple first appearances this week. Very, very light stack for this topic here, and one is a repeat of something I found in the last couple of weeks, but I'm showing you what I'm buying. So when I find copies again, I'm buying them again. So Captain America, Sentinel of Liberty, issue 8, which is in, technically first Sam Wilson as Captain America. Argue it all you want. I'm just saying. He's dressed as Cap, calls himself Cap. It's good enough for me. So issue 8, and keep an eye out for number 9, but I can't find 9, but I seem to keep finding these number 8s, which only has that kind of like last page splash for the most part. So if anything, you might argue it's a cameo, but still, for $1, I'm scooping that up. Another good one that I was able to find is this Secret Wars number 3, which is first Titania and Volcana, which, it's pretty interesting. I think Titania was confirmed as being the villain or one of the villains for the She-Hulk show on Disney Plus, so that caused this book to kind of gain some interest. Who knows, maybe they put Volcana in there as well. But for Titania alone, this makes this a worthwhile pickup. So Secret Wars isn't all about Black Suit Spidey. There are a couple of other issues in there as well. Issue 7 has that first Spider-Woman that you might want to scoop up as well. That pink cover with Cap is another good one. And issue 1, obviously, it's the first issue. But issue 3 is the one that I grabbed, and is also a good book as well. And then I found this 25 cents, but still worth $1. This Knights of the Old Republic number 0, which is, as confirmed by the writer of this series, John Jackson Miller, the first appearance of Revan. I know, it's ridiculous. It's a simple one panel. He's one of the cloaked figures here in this group shot. He's one of those brown robe characters, but he said it is. That's all it is. I mean, this is basically still an issue 0. It's kind of fun and something you definitely want to have in your collection. Even though it's a 25-cent issue, it's not that easy to find. So if you find one, I'd grab one for cheap. And plus, keep an eye out, because it might be shown this way. It's a flip book with Rebellion number 0. So you might see it flipped in your box as Rebellion, but Knights of the Old Republic is what makes this a worthwhile grab, because the Rebellion angle doesn't play up very much, at least right now. For all the Star Wars books that people like to hunt and are good investments with the Knights of the Old Republic, the original Dark Horse stuff, all of that, there's a lot of things that are still just kind of, people just kind of shrug their shoulders. And Rebellion is one that doesn't have a lot of heat behind it right now, as is like Dark Times and Empire for the most part. I mean, there's a smattering of issues that you definitely still want to keep an eye out for in those different runs. and some of the 1 in 5 variants that are, what you want to keep an eye out for as well. But for the most part, those are the kind of forgotten series of the group. And then I also have this. I don't know if we can arguing this if this is a first appearance or not. It will be one to kind of throw out there, and you can make your own decisions. But this Punisher War Journal number 74 is Lynn Michaels as the female Punisher. Now, she shows up in issue 73 wearing this same garb, but she's technically not calling herself Punisher yet. Issue 75 on the cover, it says introducing, your first female Punisher, whatever it's listed as. But in this issue here, she does start calling herself the Punisher, even if it's in her own mind. She's come to the realization that Frank Castle is not available at this point in this story, and she's taken on the mantle as the Punisher in issue 74. So argue it all you want. It really doesn't matter. Regardless, this entire little stretch of run is something you just want to keep an eye out for because it's a fun little story, and who knows what Marvel's going to do with the Punisher back under the fold now that the Netflix deal has expired. I doubt they're going to go this route on the shows, but still, fun little book, something worth keeping an eye out for, whether it's 73, 74, 75. And then I think her first appearance as a whole was in Punisher Warzone. But that being said, 74 is the book that I found for $1 and the one that I scooped up. So that's why I'm spotlighting it here. And now I'm going to move on to a healthy stack of issue number 1s. It's another thing I like to keep an eye out for, just issue 1s. Lots of first appearances in issue 1s, and that's something people since the 90s have been putting their money towards. Now, my first find for $1, I was pretty stoked to find for $1. It's pre-90s. I actually paid up to get another one, a better copy than this, obviously. This is a little banged up, but still. After I paid up for one, pretty funny that I found a ROM number 1 for $1. It's a newsstand, but plenty of spine ticks. The pages are starting to yellow quite a bit. Not the greatest of shape, but still. I'm not leaving this behind for $1. Randomly, Patsy Walker Hellcat. She showed up on Jessica Jones. Kind of cool. I do like this cover, and I do like the art. So it's one I'll grab for $1 or less. Usually I grab for less than $1, but I think this time it was $1, and I just decided to scoop it up again, just because. And who knows? Maybe we get her doing something again. I actually like this Hickman run on S.H.I.E.L.D. Pretty much. I think it was an interesting take to go back to Leonardo and all those names that and make them as if they were early agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And this variant was one that I hadn't seen before, so I grabbed it. Again, for $1. I'm scooping it up. It's pretty good shape considering it was unbagged, unboarded, sitting in a box. The back is completely white, but it's ultimately pretty clean for sitting in a dollar bin box with a bunch of other dirty old books. So pretty happy about that. Happy to scoop it up for $1. Doesn't do all that much, but still worth a pickup to me. I will also still scoop up basically any later printing, from a while back. So this X-Force 1 second printing that has Bastion on the cover, I thought it was pretty cool. I think it's Clayton Crane did the art on this. And again, second print, not easy to find, happy to find for $1. Also grabbed an Old Man Hawkeye number 1 second print. Yeah, this series had a lot of copies, and I even think this second print of number 1, there's a lot of copies of these out there. But again, for cheap, I'm scooping one up just because, why not? Yeah, second print. Still pretty cool. It's a fun little story, too, following up that Old Man Logan universe, but with Hawkeye. Now, this is a 4th print of Mr. Miracle. Again, doesn't do all that much. I think there's a lot of copies of this out there as well. But cardstock cover, kept it in pretty good shape. No bad ticks or anything on it. And for $1, I'm not leaving this in a box because it's Mr. Miracle. It was a great read, with Tom King and Mitch Gerards. I don't know if I'm saying his name properly, but definitely worth scooping up and definitely worth the read if you haven't read this series already. I know the New Gods movie basically got canceled out of Warner Brothers in DC, but hey, who knows? Maybe they go back to that well eventually. Random pickup, Dragon Strike number 1. I like this Dungeons and Dragons type stuff. Art's not all that great, but I don't know. Figured I'd scoop it up just because I hadn't seen this before. Doesn't do anything, but I grabbed it anyway. Also grabbed Rogue #1. I sometimes see issues of this 4-issue mini out there, and I'll grab them occasionally. Again, not the biggest flip in the world, but it's one of those things I just can't leave behind, especially when I'm grabbing books and I'm just trying to get to a nice round number of $10. It seems weird to me for me to go into a comic book shop, dig for 30 minutes, and I come out spending $3. That just seems kind of silly to me. So if I'm digging for that long, I'm spending at least $10. This is a little banged up, but still, I wasn't going to leave behind a Secret Invasion 1. I mean, we know we're getting that Disney Plus show, and this does all right. Maybe things pick up. But again, this is a little beat up, so it's probably nothing more than a reader, but I wasn't going to leave it. Just grab this one-shot, Secret Invasion Dark Reign. Don't know if we're going to get to this point in the Marvel Universe, but maybe we do, where we shift from Secret Invasion over to Dark Reign. It's a possibility. But again, for $1, I'm grabbing this. $3.99 cover. Bendis, Malieve. It's a pretty good read. It's a one-shot. Give it a shot, right? Hitting up the 80s. Mirage Studios Gizmo #1. I thought it was interesting. This does okay. There's people who collect this types of stuff. This isn't really my thing. Nice wraparound cover. Pretty cool. But again, for $1, not leaving it. Love this series. Love this read. Talked about it a number of times. Next wave. I'll definitely grab #1 every time I see it. I will sometimes grab the other issues as well because I think it's a great run and a fun read by Warren Ellis and Stuart Immonen. Even though we already got the New Mutants movie, which I still haven't gotten around to watching. Just can't bring myself to just really get, hey, I want to sit down and spend 85 or 90 minutes watching this. But still, Magic. Magic is a great character. Magic #1 is still a book that I will scoop up for $1 every time, especially if it's a nice, clean copy like this one. No really harsh spine ticks. There's a couple, but nothing really awful. I'm not going to leave that. And this last one in our issue #1s, even though the show is over, we're not getting a season 2 of WandaVision. I mean, we're going to get follow-up on Wanda, but no more WandaVision, basically. Vision and Scarlet Witch #1, yeah, for $1, I'm grabbing it. I know issue 12 with the birth of the twins is really the issue people want, but that's the first issue of their first run, because there was a second run, which I don't know if it was just Vision and Scarlet Witch Volume 2, or if it's Scarlet Witch and Vision. They flip-flopped the title to make it different, but I think 2 years later, they did another 12-issue maxi series, but this was issue 1 of the first run, so that's why I scooped it up. And moving on, I've got some randomness. Some random books, not a lot. Again, the issue #1s was my biggest pile of the week, but I do got a few. First things first, this would have went in the artist pile if I had enough artist books, but I realistically only had this one that I picked up just for the cover art alone. This is this Gabriel Delato Fantastic Four 56, or Legacy number 485. I think this, from quick research, this might have been Delato's first Marvel cover. So thought it was definitely worth grabbing. Plus, it's pretty cool thing. Grabbing that. We talked about this issue in last week's Dollar Bin Digging with the death of Ajax. So I grabbed this Hercules 120 because, as I said, they're out there. Give it a shot. I'll give it a shot. I put my money where my mouth is. Spent $1 on that. Another book that I've been talking about, well, not a book, but a series I've been talking about the last few weeks. Anytime I find any of books of her run, whether they be Ironheart or Invincible Iron Man, Riri Williams, I'm grabbing for $1 if I find them in a cheap box. So this issue, what is this, 9? Yeah, issue 9 of Invincible Iron Man. I wasn't leaving this behind for $1 because I think she'll be a hit with fans, and all of her books will be worth a few bucks. Young Avengers Presents is another series I've talked about, keeping an eye out for. This time I found Hulkling, which I think is one of the cheaper ones in the entire run, but still, I'm not leaving it behind. Whether it be Stature or Hawkeye or the twins, I'm still going to grab Hulkling because I still feel we're going to get him. Probably through Secret Invasion, one way or another. We're going to get introduced to that character, and we're going to get Young Avengers on Disney Plus and in the movies. This might be one of the few DC books that I grab, but I've always liked this cover. It's not her first appearance, but Bleeze, I think is how you pronounce it. This Red Lantern was one of the few characters that kind of stood out from Atrocitus's Red Lantern group, that and the cat. But I always like this cover, like I said. So this issue 3, I was grabbing for $1 because it's cool to me. Definitely cool. And next up, I've got always a fan of Silver Surfer and Thanos. Love that, Jim Starlin, Ron Lim run. So this Marvel Age 91 was a pretty fun find. Brought me right back to those times. And as would have it, in the box, there was a direct and a newsstand. So I bought one of each because they were both there. Pretty cool. Pretty cool to me. Thanos Quest they were promoting, which I loved reading that series. Just the whole idea. And something I really wish they would have done, I don't want to say a better job, but I wanted a little bit more of his hunt and quest to get the gems. They just kind of almost fell into his lap in the movies. Things were happening off screen. Like we didn't even see him take down, the Nova Corps to get the Power Stone in the movies. But hey, whatever. I still love the Marvel movies. Don't get me wrong. I just really wish I would have gotten a little more of that quest that he went on to actually get it in the comics. I thought that was really cool. And then my last book here is this weird Pizza Hut book that had a card included. This is Real Heroes. I don't even think it's numbered, but it's got Thing on the cover. I always buy weird stuff like this. These Taco Bell books, Sleepies, anything odd like this. It's just interesting to me. So Pizza Hut book, and there's a card included, which is definitely pretty cool. Still polybagged and in pretty decent shape. Doesn't do a whole heck of a lot, but still fun little nostalgic thing. So I figured I'd grab it. And those are all the books that I grabbed for $1 or less this week. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Thanks for stopping by. Please like, subscribe, hit that alert button to make sure you're not missing any of the content on this channel. Make sure you take part of the giveaway that I'm doing with these High Republic books that I got sitting next to me. And there's also a runner-up prize as well. Only take you 5 minutes to enter. Check out the main page on my YouTube channel for details. And I will see you guys next time.